This is the Austrian Audio OC16. It's the latest from the company, though released a while ago. This is their most affordable option for a condenser microphone, ringing in at around $400, less than half the price of the OC18 and about a third of the price of the OC818. Now, this thing has the CKR6 ceramic capsule. It's the same capsule as the OC18 and technically the same as the OC818. That one, though, is the CKR12, which is a dual capsule. But before we get into the review, let's get to know Austrian Audio a bit better. So it's no secret that Austrian Audio was created by several of the big brains that left AKG. It wasn't exactly a defection, which might require a bit of a backstory. AKG was taken over or joined Harman Industries in 1994. And as Samsung was circling the company in 2016 and word of a sale was imminent, Harman shut down all of their facilities in Vienna. This was because the new brass was going to centralize manufacturing and the headquarters were being moved to the US. I'm guessing several of the AKG workers had no interest in leaving their home, and perhaps some of them were out of a job anyways. So they decided to continue the long tradition of handcrafted mics in Vienna. And with that, in 2017, 22 former employees, including management, engineers, and developers, banded together and they opened Austrian Audio. Yes, this company is only 6 years old, but they do have the muscle of history on their side. And those 22 people that started the company, well, they knew what they were doing. And with that, they released the OC818, a mic that I've still yet to hear a bad thing about, and I'm also at some point in the future looking forward to try out. Hey, Austrian Audio, wink. Now, I will have to say this is a beautifully designed microphone, very distinct, and it's probably the silhouette that they're going to be sticking to define their brand. And that's cool. It's an all-metal body. The grill, though, is all-metal with a bit of a give in it. Considering how big it is, though, it's no real surprise here. Just don't go stomping on this thing. Outside of the logo, the only thing to remark on the body is a roll-off switch set to 40 and to 160. As for the shock mount, it is plastic and it weirdly doesn't feel super cheap, so I am rather happy for that. In fact, from a quality perspective, it's actually quite reminiscent of the AKG C414 shock mount. And by the way, you don't actually need the shock mount. There's also another alternative as well. It comes with this clip mount, which I do actually rather like. Though with all clip mounts, it's kind of one of those wait and see deals. I hope this thing doesn't fail in the long run. And I guess I should also mention, the mic comes with a really fancy toiletries bag. To be fair, it is really nice to see this at this price point, and I don't see much in the way of corners being cut, so I don't really mind, except for one thing, and again, see me in the pros and cons section for that one. This thing is a cardioid condenser microphone. Frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz, has a sensitivity of 11 millivolts per Pascal, equivalent noise of 14 dBA weighted, and a max SPL of 148 dB. I should also mention again that the low-cut filters are at 40 Hz and at 160 Hz. And this is the frequency response graph. Pretty much flat with about a 4 dB lift in the highs and the same in the airy frequencies. Now we're going to do a test of the off-axis rejection of the Austrian Audio OC16. This is me speaking directly into the mic from about 4 inches away. Now I'm speaking directly into the side of the microphone from about 4 inches away. Now I'm speaking directly into the rear of the microphone from about 4 inches away. Now for the plosive rejection test of the Austrian Audio OC16. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now for the proximity effect test of the Austrian Audio OC16. This is me speaking into the capsule from about 4 inches away. Now I'm about 1 inch away from the capsule. 4 inches, 1 inch. Now we're going to be taking a look at the low cut that's on this thing. Right now I'm talking into the microphone and there's no cut applied to this mic. Now we have the 40 Hz cut enabled, and this is really not going to do much to my voice, if anything at all, because most of my voice is over 80 Hz. So this is what it sounds like with the 40 Hz enabled. Most of this will just be getting rid of any low rumbles that the microphone might pick up on. Now we have the 160 Hz cut enabled, and you will actually notice a bit of a difference in my voice. It does take away a bit of that chestiness. It cleans up the low end for sure, and it takes out any possible low rumblings, but it does start to cut into voice. Now, a 160 hertz low cut will be good for some instrumentation, but for the most part, I think it's a little too heavy-handed for voice. Now we have the first of the comparisons that we're going to be doing, and we're starting at the low end. This is about as low as I'm willing to go. This is the AKG P420 up against the Austrian Audio OC16. And this is the difference as I go between them. Now, we only have a few microphones on slate for this because I wanted to kind of stay around this price to performance kind of vibe. Now, this AKG P420 is actually one of my favorites, but it is much cheaper for the price to performance. The OC18 is a little higher in price, around the $499 mark. Which one do you like though? Now we have the Austrian Audio OC16 up against the Lewitt LCT440 Pure. And this is what it's like as I go between them. Now, this is a tale of two microphone companies born out of the same mic company. As we talked about earlier, Austrian Audio coming out of the woodwork in 2017 and the kind of the ruins of Vienna AKG. And Lewitt came out of AKG in 2009, I believe. Anyways, two newer microphone companies, but both kind of born out of the AKG style. And this is what it sounds like as I go between them. Which one do you like? Now we have the Austrian Audio OC16 up against the Rode NT2A, and these microphones used to be a lot closer in price. Recently, I saw this thing go down to $299, I believe, for the Rode NT2A, but originally it was priced similarly to the Austrian Audio OC16. Now, I have failed to mention one of the things that kind of separates this from the NT2A. The problem is this microphone doesn't have any other polar patterns other than cardioid, when both the NT2A as well as the AKG P420 both have access to multiple polar patterns through a switch. That might be part of your deciding factor when you're buying a microphone. However, does the sound set it apart? Let me know what you think down below. Let's kick this off with the pros. This is a very well-balanced microphone. It's very flat throughout, and even with the boosts and the highs and the airy frequencies, it isn't harsh on my sibilants, and I'm a very sibilant person. Now, my S sounds are still there and getting through, but a simple EQ, and those are coming out quite nicely. But outside of that, there isn't an overwhelming brightness to this microphone. It is, in consideration of its price, quite flat. And that's a good thing. I've said it before, artists like blank canvases and producers love a flat mic. It's basically the same thing. Now, I also used this mic on the video I did for my father, and frankly, I loved what came out of it on acoustic guitar, though the final signal was processed, so make of that what you will. As for the con, and yes, there is pretty much only one, but if you look at a lot of microphones in this price point, you will notice they generally come with everything, including a pop filter. Now, as you move up in price points, that isn't normally the case, as people spending more and more money on microphones probably have one of their own, as well as a preference for a specific type of pop filter. But for mics in this price point, it's a good possibility that somebody might be spending a good portion of their budget. So even something simple is a good thing. And frankly, this microphone needs a pop filter. So should you buy the Austrian Audio OC16? Well, as far as recommendations go, yeah. I mean, if you're looking for that flat microphone at a great price without having to move up to the $1,000 price point, sure. For a somewhat budget studio microphone, this mic might help you save a few bucks for some quieter pre's or something like that. So it is a pretty easy recommendation there. That said, do remember there is a lack of polar patterns here, and if you need those for your production, well, you're going to have to look elsewhere. Also, if you actually do want to see it perform on that acoustic guitar, check this video out here. Though, the video is a bit of a bummer. Sorry about that.